Buddhism began over 2,500 years ago with Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, who sought to understand suffering. His journey led to the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, offering a way to enlightenment. As it spread from India to Asia, Buddhism adapted, giving rise to diverse schools like Theravada and Mahayana. Each branch emphasizes different teachings and practices, from the monastic focus of Theravada to the compassion-driven approach of Mahayana. In Tibet, Vajrayana emerged, blending ancient rituals with Buddhist philosophy. Today, Buddhism continues to evolve, engaging with modern issues like mental health and environmentalism. It's fascinating how this ancient tradition remains relevant, inspiring millions to seek inner peace and mindfulness in our fast-paced world. Buddhism is a spiritual and philosophical tradition founded in the 5th to 4th century BCE by Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, in what is now modern-day Nepal and India. Its evolution can be traced through several historical developments, cultural adaptations, and doctrinal diversifications. Below is an overview of its key phases: roots and formation, 6th century BC, 1st century BCE, historical context. Buddhism emerged in a period marked by significant spiritual and philosophical questioning in ancient India, influenced by other traditions such as Hinduism, Jainism, and Shamanism. The Buddha's teachings. The core teachings of the Buddha focused on the Four Noble Truths, which address the nature of suffering, its causes, and the path to its cessation, the Eightfold Path. First Sangha. The Buddha established a monastic community, Sangha, for monks and nuns, which was essential for preserving and spreading his teachings. The life and teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, c. 563 to 483 BCE. Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, was born in what is now Nepal. His quest for understanding the nature of human suffering led him to enlightenment, where he discovered the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path as the means to overcome suffering, dukkha. His teachings were primarily oral and focused on the path to liberation, nirvana, through ethical living, meditation, and wisdom. Early Buddhism. The first Buddhist councils, c. 483 BCE, 3rd century BCE, after the Buddha's death, his followers gathered in the first council to preserve his teachings, leading to the compilation of the Tripitaka, 3 baskets, the earliest scriptures of Buddhism. Buddhism began to divide into various schools, primarily based on different interpretations of the Buddha's teachings. The rise of early schools, c. 3rd century BCE, 1st century CE, Theravada Buddhism. The teaching of the elders emphasized the original teachings of the Buddha. It became dominant in Sri Lanka and later spread to Southeast Asia. Mahayana Buddhism. Around the 1st century BCE to 1st century CE, Mahayana, great vehicle, developed, incorporating more diverse practices and philosophical ideas. Mahayana emphasizes the ideal of the bodhisattva, one who seeks enlightenment not just for themselves but for the benefit of all beings. Vajrayana Buddhism. This emerged from Mahayana in the 7th century CE, particularly in Tibet. It includes esoteric practices, rituals, and the veneration of tantric teachings. Early sectarian developments, 1st century BC, 1st century CE, spread of Buddhism. After the Buddha's death, his teachings spread across the Indian subcontinent. Councils. The first Buddhist council, shortly after the Buddha's death, and subsequent councils helped standardize texts and practices. Sect formation. As Buddhism spread, various schools emerged, including Theravada and early Mahayana traditions, each interpreting the teachings in different ways. Mahayana rising. 1st century CE, 5th century CE, Mahayana Buddhism. This new movement emphasized the bodhisattva ideal, encouraging practitioners to seek enlightenment not just for themselves but for all beings. Cultural exchange. Trade routes, particularly the Silk Road, facilitated the exchange of Buddhist ideas with Central Asia, China, and beyond. Scriptures and philosophy. New texts, such as the Heart Sutra and the Lotus Sutra, were composed, expanding the doctrinal framework of Buddhism. As traders traveled the Silk Road, they carried Buddhist texts and ideas, reaching places like China, Korea, and Japan. Each region adapted Buddhism to its own traditions, leading to diverse schools like Zen and Pure Land. In Tibet, it merged with local beliefs, creating a unique form known as Tibetan Buddhism. The spread wasn't just about religion, it influenced art, philosophy, and politics. Monasteries became centers of learning, fostering advancements in science and medicine. Buddhism entered China in the 1st century CE and underwent significant syncretism with Taoism and Confucianism, leading to distinctive schools like Chan, Zen. Buddhism spread to Korea in the 4th century CE and Japan in the 6th century CE, introducing new forms such as Pure Land Buddhism and Shingon. In East Asia, Buddhism influenced various domains, including art, literature, and philosophy. Theravada Buddhism gained prominence in Sri Lanka and later spread to Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos, emphasizing adherence to the Pali Canon. Local traditions and practices integrated with Theravada Buddhism, leading to unique cultural expressions of the religion. The spread of Western colonialism in Asia led to both challenges and adaptations for Buddhist traditions. Figures like Anagarika Dharmapala in Sri Lanka and the Buddhist reform movements in Japan sought to modernize Buddhism while preserving its core teachings. The 20th century saw Buddhism spread to the West, leading to the establishment of new Buddhist communities and the popularization of meditation practices. A movement led by figures like Thich Nhat Hanh integrates social activism with Buddhist practice, responding to modern issues such as war, poverty, and environmental concerns. Buddhism has undergone an extensive evolution influenced by cultural, geographical, and historical factors. From its origins in Nepal/India to its global presence today, it has diversified into various traditions, each interpreting the core teachings of the Buddha in unique ways. Buddhism has spread globally, with significant followings in East and Southeast Asia, as well as growing communities in the West. Modern Buddhism often engages in interfaith dialogue and adapts to contemporary issues, making it a dynamic and evolving tradition. The ongoing dialogue between tradition and modernity continues to shape its development in contemporary society. Today, Buddhism continues to thrive globally, promoting mindfulness and compassion in an increasingly chaotic world. Its journey reflects humanity's quest for peace and understanding, reminding us of our shared search for meaning.